Alright, tonight we're going to start out with some mono red burn. Time permitting, we might get to Boros, but I do kind of have a hard cutoff time in mind. But that said, starting out with some mono red, made some changes from the last time we ran it a couple weeks ago. If you're checking this out on YouTube later, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving us a thumbs up. And for now, let's get into the deck tech. So previously I've been messing with stuff like Kamano faces Kakuzan. Still messing around with Spikefield Hazard a little bit. I'm still not as determined on this card as I am one way or another. But, you know, we just replaced most of the terrible Magic cards with basically Flame Rift and Skullcrack to kind of get the mono red list we have going on. 18 lands. I've been pretty decently happy with one Crucible of Defiance. It's been fine, hasn't really been detrimental in any which way. You could obviously play things like, what is the one? The Desert that sacks to deal 2 damage. I can't remember off the top of my head. That they play sometimes in Pioneer. Obviously you could play Den of the Bugbear, but Den of the Bugbear is, I think, a playset of Den of the Bugbear is actually more expensive than a modern burn deck right now. It's kind of insane. But beyond that, you know, we're basically playing basic mountains with some fetch lands. Why are we still playing fetches despite playing an all mono red mana base? Mainly being able to trigger Searing Blaze during our opponent's turn. It's nice to have access to that. We're also running 6 Canopy lands just as some utility. And then, you know, beyond that, we're just running same things you expect to see in Boros. You know, with the exception of Flame Rift kind of replacing copies of Boros Charm, and then Skullcrack in the spot where it's like the Lightning Helix Skullcrack split you normally see in mono red. The one huge boon to playing mono red is we do get to play copies of Blood Moon. There are some matchups that significantly helps, especially against the Amulet matchup if you happen to be able to steal, especially game 1. And then, you know, it can be decent against different decks that wouldn't expect it, like greedier mana bases and things. Roiling Vortex, I mean, this is a 3 or 4 of in Boros. It's good against the Cascade decks, good against the Pitch Elementals, it's good anti-life gain tech. 4 copies of Smash, I mean, you expect to play against artifacts, it really just makes sense to run some numbers of Smash to Smithereens. And I'm going to switch the versions out because I'm really kind of tired of having a one of unique one. Smash to Smithereens, they were running all the same kind. Then 4 copies of Flame Slash as our pseudo like Path Exile effect. It's not the best, but we can't really run Unholy Heat in this deck, so it just makes sense to run Flame Slash, and I've definitely seen M. Hayashi running it in some of his mono red variants of mono red mid-range that he's definitely worked on. So that said, let's get into some matches and see how this deck pans out. Alright, get to pick up on the play, which is nice. I'd like to play first. This hand is fine. We've got 2, potentially 3 land drops in our hand. Spikefield Hazard as early interaction for mana dorks and such. Feeling pretty decent about this hand. Obviously, Spikefield Hazard is not a normal burn spell, but, you know, being able to get a little bit of utility out of your lands is nice. Though the tap part of it is very awkward sometimes. Alright, so possibly Murktide? Or Rhinos or something. Alright. Living End it is. So I figure they'll take probably Swift Spear here. Just the card that deals the most damage. Opponent having a good time with all. Flame Rift. If they have a force, they'll probably force this. So we know our opponent's not stuck on lands, because they definitely have alright, so their opponent's going to 6. Much power do they have? How's Aquarius? How you doing? So now you're kind of in this weird spot where we need to skull crack them because they get to grief and take away our best card, which will obviously be Lava Spike here. They'll go to 3. Is there a reason not to play Spikefield Hazard here as a land? Searing Blaze is the only one I can think of. Nice, nice. Congrats. I'm just going to do this and hope we can jump block this turn. You know, hope to rip a lethal burn spell. It's probably looking for a Force of Negation would be my guess. Alright, so 10. Yeah, we're forced to jump block. And then if they have force, we're just pretty much dead. And gotta go for it. And we got there. Alright, so we're gonna want the Vortexes and the Blood Moons. Obviously Blood Moon isn't the best plan against them, but it's a thing. How's this worded? To each player. Okay. Cut a hazard. It's going alright, War Dog. It's going alright. Yeah. Most of the problems have been ironically around a car. So I had to replace my HHR. So that's actually been the biggest source of problems lately. So cut a couple of and then we got that. How are you doing, War Dog, by the way? And Aquarius and everybody else. Sand is fine. kind of hard to mulligan this hand given the fact that our opponent is on the play and the fact that they're likely going to have ley lines, so any hand that doesn't involve some amount of creatures, and they could easily have grief, so possible we're supposed to just mulligan this hand, but actually, you know what? I am going to mulligan this 7-carder. If our opponent ever decides they want to make a game choice action. This hand isn't the best, but we'll keep it. We really need to draw a second land, obviously, but get rid of a Skewer the Critics here. No ley line, but I suspect they'll have a grief or something. Nothing. Alright. Alright, well, I mean, let's Swizzle Spear here. Okay, basic island. It's almost like they're playing around Bloodmoon or something. Or just avoiding taking damage. Wow. I think put that one on bottom. So you might want to have saved your subtlety for that. So what you're saying is we're probably dead. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, all of them are kind of crazy powerful. Great hand if we had a land. This hand's alright. Opponent with no ley lines is very interesting to me. Subtlety? Do not. Alright. Presume they're going to play Misty, fetch basic forest. So Bloodmoon's going to be completely useless. Sure. So if they're binning in a Violent Outburst, that clearly means they have... Presume they take Goblin Guide here, right? Or Bolt. Alright, so go to 6, then go to, what, 2? So they're going to Violent Outburst during our upkeep. Yep, Spike Field Hazard, just not going to cut it here. Okay, let me do the math here. 7. Oh, never mind. They targeted us, right? But I presume whatever's on top of our library isn't going to be enough to win the game, or they have Force of Negation, and it doesn't matter. Of course. Alright, well that was fun. Random, like, one-shot things that are designed to slow down Murktide and such. Sand's got 12 points of burn. Guess it's alright. It's not, like, super exciting, but it's fine. The problem for Dredge is not fast enough to capitalize on... Are we seriously up against Living End again? Yep, we're up against Monkey. Great. So speaking of Murktide... Yeah, play the Crucible of Defiance. Okay. Problem is, we're not really situated to play a long game against Murktide. Dashing Monkey? No, just Casting Monkey. Hey, look, my land drop killed a monkey. Problem is, we've literally done, like, no damage to them, so it's like, eh. Like, sure, we've killed some of their threats, but one Murktide later. Oh, they're on the Dragon Rage's Channeler version. Interesting. Okay. So they somehow have managed to fit all 4 threats into their deck? But yeah, Dredge is one of those weird ones that's like... You feel it should do better than it does because it probably has a decent Murktide matchup. It probably has a decent A lot of it's contextual. Sometimes it's killing their early threats and hope they don't have a Murktide. Sometimes it's, you know, it used to be like literally Sanctifier and Vec and just remove their early creatures, and then they couldn't really cast a Murktide easily. But now it's gotten to the point where I mean, this Swiftspear is dying pretty much no matter what. So it's just going to eat a counterspell? Sure. The problem with Murktide is it's a lot like the old Shadow matchups, except most Murktide pilots have now been piloting their deck long enough that they're actually competent in the Burn Mirror, so you just like have no chance to win most of the time anymore. Like, even the games where you can keep their Ragavans and everything else in their control, and they just play a big Murktide, and you're like, derpa derpa. Probably bring in Flame Slashes for Flame Rifts. They're already incentivized to play around Blood Moon anyway. Well, not. They're a Blood Moon deck, and they're incentivized to fetch basics against us anyway to avoid damage, so I don't know that Blood Moon actually does anything in this matchup. So I think it's literally slash in, that out. Could bring in Vortex, but once again, they're a creature-centered deck. They can get ahead of us, you know, so not a whole lot for this matchup. It's just one of those matchups that you got to accept is a tough matchup, especially if the Murktide pilot is competent. Like, literally, I think the only time I've beaten Murktide in the last, like, 5 or 6 matches against it was against an opponent who was playing entirely too conservatively. They gave me too many draw steps to draw what I needed to against, you know, everything they had going on. The problem with this hand, right? Dash Ragavan kills us with this hand. I mean, we have all kinds of answers to an early or to an early Ledger Shredder or Monkey, but yeah, this is just like, we got lucky there. We had the mana to pay for it. But a lot of times they just get to trade 1-for-1 with things like Spell Pierce and stuff now. I don't know. We might actually be able to catch them with Blood Moon one of these games. Feels like they have a monkey they want to dash. Ledger Shredder. I really don't think so. I honestly think that something in Murktide is going to end up getting banned eventually. Just like they keep doing in Delver, I think it's going to get knocked down a peg eventually. So, they have Spell Pierce, good thing to know about. But then that would require splashing blue. I honestly think Mystical Dispute would be better in that spot. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been the crazy idiot that splashed blue during certain metas. Mainly during the Uro meta and Oko meta, I definitely splashed some very interesting cards. Yeah, I have no reason to act here. Like, they literally shocked into I think we just put that on the bottom. No reason to. We know they have Pierce and Aether Gust, so if they dash a monkey here, they're going to kind of get to do the thing. Okay, Murktide Regent, sure. I really want them to use the Aether Gust here. Alright, sure. That Swift Spear was exactly what I was looking for. Not. But if you were going to splash blue, Mystical Dispute, trying to think what would other good options be. Flusterstorm, Brazen Borrower to bounce their stuff. No, Mana Leak I don't think would be good enough. We'll let them scry here first. And then try to bolt their face. One Spell Pierce alone won't be good enough. Flusterstorm plus Spell Pierce isn't enough here. Not all of us can afford Murktide all the time. Mordog. Believe me, if I still had my Mana Traders account, I'd probably be playing Murktide more often. Okay, so you're just dead. I don't think they run Force of Negation. And even if they do, I am not going to give them the benefit of that doubt. So... opponent back to playing Ether Gusts. That's moderately terrifying. I still don't think Blood Moon does enough. We didn't want it on the play. I really don't think we want it on the draw. Let's try it like this. What's up, Mad Kiwi? How you doing tonight? Well, you also play Legacy, so you have even more of a reason to play Murktides. Hey, alive's a good thing. As long as you're alive, you have a chance to, you know, turn your life around if something's going funky with it. It's been a weird start so far to this league. Losing to Living End and now Game 3 against Murktide, so... and like Ether Gust makes Blood Moon even less appealing. Yeah, that's the thing, is you don't know... Glory Seeker was an expensive card. Glory Bringer or Glory Seeker? This hand's alright. Talking about the 3-1 oh, okay. Because I think there was a 3-1 lifelinker or 3-1 I'm trying to remember what it was called. Or couldn't it really keep a one-lander? They did. Okay, well, I mean, figure this is just gonna die, but, you know, whatever. Dashing Monkey? No Dash Monkey. Okay. Figured we're gonna eat a Spell Pierce or something here. Would make much more sense for them to Flusterstorm this one. I have a feeling we'll draw another land, so I'm just going to play our lands out to play around their soft counter spells. Plus, we get to crack the lands to draw, so. But clearly does not have a Ledger Shredder in their hand, so what kind of hand did they keep? Okay. This will force them to react if they have a bolt. Or Unholy Heat, I mean. Flusterstorm? Sure. I guess that was actually bad timing on their part. They actually did time it before the prowess trigger happened, so I stand corrected. Now we're vulnerable to a dashing monkey. They actually did time the thing correctly. I brought it in for Flame Rift. Just because you really don't want Flame Rift in a situation where you're really comes down to racing. Land? No land, but... 1, 2... Bant Fortress. Is it a wall deck or something? So they have stuff like assault formation and things. Oh, Arceus or whatever it is, plus assault formation. This is probably just going to eat a counter spell. Yep, put it with one card in hand. Hopefully it's not a good one. Yeah, it becomes a little bit redundant. Of course, that's one of the last cards in their hand. When isn't it, right? Perhaps I'm supposed to be holding even Goblin Guides to just overwhelm them, but okay. It is, but at the same time, it's quite likely they have at least one, maybe two counter spells in hand. So they could have Spell Pierce in hand, so I'm actually not going to play the Blaze unless they crack their fetch for some reason. And that may seem strange, but we could have paid for Spell Pierce, and we didn't really want them to connive if their hand is garbage. So we're just dead. Cool. I guess we're not specifically dead. I should have let the connive trigger resolve first. But if they have a non-land card in hand or draw a non-land card, we're just dead. So I should have let them connive to see if we were factually dead. But the fact that they're also going back on Ether Gust is just annoying for us. Match 3. Okay, we're up against a 60 card pile. This hand's fine. It plays. This would be our 4th land, which would kind of suck. And it's like, yeah, you can say 0-2, we're on mono red. Mono red's not playable, blah, 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 blah. If we were playing Boros, it would be, I think, a large amount of the same things. Like, a lot of Boros' draws would be very similar. Are we up against the Burn Mirror? Or are we up against Shadow or... Okay. I think we might be up against Black-Red Rock for some reason. Wait. What? Okay. I suspect our opponent's on tilt for some reason. Just fathoming a guess. I don't even know that we want to sideboard right now because we really don't know what they're on. So click submit. Oh, I'm not arguing that point, Aquarius. I'm definitely taking any win I can get. I don't think we can keep this hand, though. 4 lands, and they're all actual lands. This hand's much better. Probably put back Flame Rift, just cause. Turn 1 Monkey, yeah. Feels like we're against red-black. I'm actually going to play Swift Spear here and not attack, force them to actually kill it to get through. We might have actually be up against Jund. Oh, red-black still feels like. Terminate. So, what do you get? You gotta skewer the critics. And cast that. Well, you get an Inquisition. That's unfortunate. Alright, so we're gonna have to go... Goblin Guide, hit them, kill Monkey. Alright, so they're just like red-black mid-range. They get to Liliana us and either Edict or... Oh, they're just Jund. Okay. Sure. I really don't know why Jund scooped to a... Eidolon. That really seemed premature against a deck that just kills so many creatures so easily. Okay, Liliana. Getting rid of the Liliana. Tarmogoyf being a big old boy. I think we're dead this game. I guess I should have held on to the Arid Mesa. I didn't want to take 6 to cast Flame Rift here. I think we're just dead to Tarmogoyfs regardless. We're not going to be able to raise Tarmogoyf, just the way things are going currently. Yeah, we cast Flame Rift. We're just dead here. Because we need another Flame Rift off the top to win here. Or to draw. And I can't cast Flame Rift this turn without dying. So I think I'm just going to concede and preserve the information that we're mono red. Flame Slashes might be okay. Really don't want these Flame Rifts in my deck. And trimming an Eidolon is not ridiculous. Searing Blaze is okay, but not the best in the matchup, so we'll try it like that. I guess I'd like to play first. Sand is perfectly reasonable. Doesn't have Blood Moon, but we'll make it work. Besides, with Inquisition, you never know if you'd get to the pet card anyway, so it's just kind of like whatever. Attack with the Swiss Spear before we give the information that we have an Eidolon. Do I even want to play Eidolon here? I guess we do, but... presume this is just getting Fatal Put. Nope. Okay. Well... Fury. Cool. Well... and then, even if it goes to a 5-6, it still dies. We've traded a lot of resources, though, to be able to do what we did. Pass turn. We're getting Bloodbraid Elfed. Oh, Torok. Discard a card, sure. It's going to be playing a really large Tarmogoyf this turn. Should be a 6/7, shouldn't it? Nope, 5/6. No Planeswalker this time, I guess. Flame Slash is not the best card here. Really? Alrighty then. I guess we lose? Question mark? Dead to a Bolt, dead to a Dash Monkey, dead to Croxa. Sure. Yeah. I don't even know why you pinged us with round 6 there. Like, Bolt was enough of a win. Alright, match number 4. You know what I do find hilarious is our last league out, we were on the draw 5 times and won 3 out of 5 matches. This time we've been on the play 4 times now and still haven't won a match. So, you know, Magic variance. What do you say? It was in conjunction with Oko, so there was definitely some synergy with it, but there was definitely reason to run it. Do I play around Spell Snare? I swear if I get spell snared here, it's been that kind of a league. Oh, Subtlety. Cool. We're up against Living End again. We'll put that on top. We're literally up the wazoo. Then I had the laughing chicken in the room next door who was laughing at apparently some of my stupidity. I love my wife, but all I hear is... I love you too. Yeah, they went down a card, but in this matchup, it literally doesn't matter. Their deck is... All the Cascade decks literally don't care about going down a card. Okay, it resolved, so... You're gonna Brazen Borrow me? Nope. Waker of Waves. But yeah, main deck subtlety has gotten us a couple times now. And if we don't win game one, especially being on the play, we're in a lot of trouble. Yeah, you know. It's definitely not my night, but may as well at least play one more match, right? Okay, do they have Shardless Agent to boot? Indeed they do. Alright, well, that was fun. Alright, well, Blood Moon's in, Roiling Vortex is in. Yes, oh great chicken.
Nothing.
Thought it was too distracting with the door open.
Oh, you're just as distracting with the door closed.
I am sorry.
I love you.
What other cards can get cut here? I guess... Skull Cracks, Lava Spikes... Guess Skewers. Could be some argument for bringing in Flame Slash against like Curator of Mysteries and Endurance. This hand's fine, albeit not the most exciting. It's the name of a card.
Yeah, you're not very subtle.
You're one to talk, darling. Interesting to see if they fetch... Nope, they don't fetch basics, so their hand must be a little bit... They have Dead Gone? I guess I need to play Eidolon this turn. But it's going to deal us a lot of damage. We're basically taking 3 damage for each spell we cast. So they're going to have Painless Mana to cast a Living End. Okay, Curator, sure. Architect's a will. Interesting. So why didn't they play Botanical Sanctum there? That doesn't make sense. Okay. We actually want them to put a land on top of our deck and hope they don't have Force of Negation. Alright, Aquarius, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, man. Or woman. Kind of hard to say with Aquarius as the username. Is there anything we want to reevaluate on the draw? Don't think so. Still don't think Blood Moon's good on the draw, but yeah. You don't want to presume these days, but I appreciate the clarification. Thanks, Aquarius. Not like this. Do we risk going to 5 in a matchup where we... Because this hand isn't good. Guess we mulligan, hope to hit... Yeah, Roiling Vortex. Back. Okay, cancel. Back. Rift Bolt, go. Hope they don't have... Grief. They have Dead Gone, it's kind of whatever, don't really care. Which one do we play here is the question mark. Eidolon gets hit by Subtlety, Roiling Vortex gets hit by... Guess we play this. Okay, it resolved at least. Okay, this just smells like... When did they pitch? They pitched Curator of Mysteries. So that tells me they've got to have a Cascader here, right? Yeah. Last card in hand is a Cascader, of course. Ten flying power seems pretty difficult to overcome. Yep, that's just kind of how the night's gone. So, and this was a good example of why it can be difficult, really, to get wrapped up in results. You know, we ran into 3 of Burns' tougher matchups, and then Jun just didn't go our way. You know, Living End and Murktide are both probably slight favorites against Burn at this point. Especially since, you know, we're not packing, like, Tormod's Crypts or Ley Lines or any of that kind of stuff. You know, as hot as we ran for several weeks there, you know, the flip side of it sometimes happens. But, you know, would Boros have made a difference? Maybe against Jun, instead of drawing Blood Moons, we would have been drawing, like, Paths or Deflecting Palms. Maybe it would have made a difference there. Against the other 3 decks, not really. Like, Sanctifier and Vec kind of helps against Murktide, but at the same time doesn't. And it's really not that good against Living End. And, like, as soon as you start packing, like, actual graveyard hate, like Rest in Peace and stuff, you either don't run into it or don't run into Living End, which is a deck that I've only probably run into maybe once in the previous, like, 7 or 8 leagues. So it's really kind of hard to take off of one league result, but I mean, the deck, at least for what it was worth, the deck felt smoother, but it did feel like we might have been taking a bit too much damage from the Sunbaked Canyon Fiery Islet stuff, is one thing I did note. You know, which could have bought us a turn in some of those matchups, which may have given us another burn spell. The rest of the deck, I mean, we're basically playing Boros with just Flame Rift in place of Boros Charm, as far as the main deck goes. You know, Spikefield Hazard really didn't trip us up this league. It was a relevant spell at points. Yeah, that too, War Dog. It's just like we ran into some top tier decks. We didn't have the best of draws. And even despite being on the play, we weren't really able to capitalize on it very much. So, you know, kind of one of those things where we didn't run that well. Our opponents had some good draws with, like, Grief into, you know, Living End, Grief, steal another burn spell. And it's really hard to, like, come back when you're Living End opponents at, like, 13 life. You have no cards in hand for getting griefed twice, and they have, like, 15 power on the board. So that's why Modern is just such a grab bag format sometimes. Sometimes you can do really well, and then sometimes you just kind of flub out. Yeah, I think the best example of that lately was Aspiring Spike had gone like 50-something and 14 or 12 or something with his Bant deck, and then he did a recording for Channel Fireball, and then it immediately went 2-3. So it's just like, you can run hot sometimes, and other times it's just kind of like, eh. So, but as far as the deck, I'm really liking this version a lot more than some of the other ones we took a look at. You know, the Kimono Faces Kakazan's just kind of trash. Flame Rift's okay. Like, it's awkward in some spots with Eidolon and all of these Canopy lands. So I would like to adjust the mana base a little bit further in some way. But the lands that I would want to put in there are just not in the budget right now. It'd be like Down to the Bugbear or something, or even the Desert one that I can't think of. But that still deals us damage to cast red spells. Raminat Ruins is the card that I was trying to think of. But, you know, maybe another fetch land or something. And just, you can't really have too many Canopy lands sometimes. So, anywho, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I think at one point we were up to 8 or 9 viewers. But thanks everybody for hanging out tonight, and Sorry that Mono Red didn't do better, but I did want to at least give it one more run before putting it on the shelf for a little bit. But I don't know how much of it was actually Mono Red and how much of it was just like even Boros. Yeah, I know what you mean, War Dog. And if you get to 5 mana, you're in trouble anyway in Modern, usually. That said, we have Crucible of Defiance has come up a couple times, so 4 mana isn't entirely impossible, but I get what you mean. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. It was nice to get back on the streaming path, and hopefully we will get at it again next week. But this has been John for MTG Nexus. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're catching this on YouTube. And if you're new to the channel here on Twitch, give us a follow. And hope to see you next Sunday evening for some more Modern Burn. Thanks everybody for hanging out. War Dog, Aquarius, if you're still in chat, Mad Kiwi, etc. Thank you very much.